The US Department of State has removed a statement on its website that it does not support Taiwan independence. It now says the US would support Taiwan's membership of international organisations where applicable, words that have been welcomed by the island's foreign minister. Well, how significant is this? Let's bring in Grant Wyeth, who is a senior policy analyst at Asia Pacific Development, Diplomacy and Defence Dialogue. He joins us from Melbourne. Grant, what do we make of this? How meaningful is this change in wording?
I think it's slightly meaningful. I think potentially it's done solely to antagonise Beijing, but it also reflects a reality in that Taiwan is an independent country. Beijing can't issue so much as a parking fine in Taipei. So it's a reflection of the reality. I think the more meaningful part is on the international institutions and supporting Taiwan's participation in international institutions. Taiwan lost its status in the World Health Organization in 2017, and that proved consequential during the coronavirus pandemic, when Taiwan had advanced information and was unable to share that globally. So I think it makes sense that the US is supporting greater participation for Taiwan in international institutions, but I think it's also done as a way of kind of needling Beijing.
And so, I mean, what explanation have we heard from the US, and what reaction has there been from Taiwan and also China's governments?
Well, China, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has yet to release a statement. I suspect they will be in the coming days. Taiwan has been positive. You know, the current Taiwanese government has the line that they are an independent country. And so this is just reflecting reality. The United States is probably playing some games here, but I think it's a case, as I said, I think it's a case of both, of playing a bit of game, but also reflecting reality.
Now, this comes as 24 Chinese military aircraft were reported near the island, with the Chinese military telling a Canadian warship to change course. And of course, just last week, 2 US naval ships transited through. They were the first under Trump. So what do we make of this activity?
Well, the Taiwanese Strait is international waters. The Canadian vessel, the HMCS Ottawa, is part of a UN-sanctioned anti-smuggling operation aimed at North Korea. So it's in the region for that. But it also conducts freedom of navigation operations down to the South China Sea. And the Taiwan Strait is the most direct route from Korea down to the South China Sea. Other countries, like the United States, said Australia as well, has conducted freedom of navigation operations in the region. And were countries to be intimidated by China's claim that we're not allowed to sail through the Taiwan Strait, then that would effectively make it China's waters. So these are important missions in just making sure that an international route, which is used by not just military vessels, but used by shipping vessels as well, it's important that they remain open. I think China's response with the military aircraft is maybe a bit of seeing whether the US will come to the support of Canada in this, because I think China probably sees a bit of a wedge between the US and Canada at the moment, given that Trump has decided to ruin relations between US and Canada. So there's probably, there's another little game there that China's playing in regards to that relationship.
Do you think there's a relationship between these events and the wording change on the US State Department website?
Potentially, but I think that was probably in the making a long time. I think there's probably been a lot of people at the State Department who, even under President Biden, who have been looking for that wording change anyway. And, we had last year, the Biden administration was supporting Taiwan's participation in international organisations as well, especially World Health Organization and Interpol as well.
And like many countries, Taiwan has been trying to get a read of what the Trump presidency means for them. This has been a confusing time, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been absolute chaos coming out of the White House. So there's been a lot of inconsistency and a lot of mixed messages. But I think the one consistent theme that comes out of the White House is Trump's fascination and fondness for strongmen. And this probably makes people in Taiwan very nervous, because we may be leading, especially with developments in Ukraine recently, we may be leading to a world that goes back to an idea of spheres of influence where large, powerful states have desires and they are allowed to act on these desires, and smaller states simply need to submit themselves to these desires. And that's a horrible situation for Taiwan, and it's a horrible situation for Australia as well.